This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jambo Jambo and hello everybody. A very warm welcome to our afternoon drive. We are coming to you from the Masai Mara of Kenya, and you got so many bird species here. My name is David. Welcome aboard to your very own safari, live from the African bush. We call these birds here the marabou storks. Sometimes we call them scavengers, but definitely at the moment, they are not scavenging. They are feeding a lot of, or they're getting a lot of food from the water that has collected there, from the rains that we have been receiving here in the Masai Mara. And one more time, it is a very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to our drive this afternoon from the Masai Mara. My name is David, and on camera with me this afternoon is Bungay. Well, we are live, and we'd like to hear from you. Should you have any questions or comments, please send them through, and you can tweet to us using hashtag WildEarth, or you can use at FC in the channel's comment below. It's a marabou stork right there. A warm afternoon in the Masai Mara, 25 degrees Celsius or 77 degrees Fahrenheit. My big plans this afternoon is to look for some lions somewhere. Hopefully I'll be lucky to get some. And once that happens, I will let you know.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a baking hot Tswalu Kalahari. My name is Moritz, and behind the camera we've got David. And today we are actually going to go and look for those cheetah, that female cheetah with the little cubs, to see how she's doing. And so with that being the case, we were heading that way and have a look at what we found. You know, this guy is as hot as we are at the moment. He's just got the luxury of a little bit of shade. So there's a black-backed jackal that we're looking at the moment. And so Ron just had a question, are the jackals related to foxes? And Ron, you're absolutely right. They are all part of the canine family. So foxes, jackals, and then the wild dogs all form part of the canine family. So definitely related to one another. That's why you'll find that jackals and foxes look very much alike. Also more or less the same behavior. There's going to be slight differences that put them apart from the foxes. And it could be something like breeding behavior or just like a foot structure or something like that. But yeah, guys, beautiful little black-backed jackal. That is the only jackal that we find around here. We've got two different foxes in Tswalu, called the bat-eared fox and then the Cape fox. So it would be really exciting to see both of those two. But what a great start to the afternoon to find this little guy resting in the shade.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon here at Djuma Private Game Reserve. Here where now the sky is on the background, even background of that giraffe. It's even showing a lot of beautiful trees and then along the sky on the background. So this is what the beginning of the day looks like it's going to be for the most of the evening today. Giraffe are so beautiful for us today. And I'm Andrew behind the camera, that's BK. So the giraffe just looks like it's going to come down to drink for us. Just going to see how he's going to do it. looks like staring at the position of the water. This giraffe, it's probably because of maybe, they're one of the animals they have to make sure. For safety, the point of view, it's so important for this animal. They don't arrive in a water hole and then drink immediately, even though they're thirsty. They gotta make sure it's safe, because the minute they go down, then a lot vulnerable to most predators as lions. Mainly lions would take such a bull giraffe like that. You can see this thicker horn he's got, usually bolt on top of the horn, and he's busy chewing its cud. We're just gonna wait a little while here, see if he's gonna arrive in that water.
Good afternoon and welcome to Ngala. My name is Marna and with me on the camera is Gert. And we are actually also on our way to a waterhole. As you can see, it's quite dry and there's nothing much happening around us at the moment. But I think there might be something around the waterhole. It's really, like I said, really, really hot. So hopefully there's some elephants drinking. We might see some hippos, maybe some other general game drinking. So let's see what we can find.
A very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Masai Mara here in the Mara Triangle. My name is Isaac, and on camera I have Big James. We are here at the river to bring you what is happening. Remember to talk to me on #WildEarth. Questions and comments are very, very welcome. First and foremost, we are already set out here, and we've come across this huge herd of wildebeest that has congregated here, but looks like most of them are sitting down, so it means they might have wanted to cross and then it didn't happen. Usually it's what they do, they stop, congregate, it's like they're having a meeting, then decide. Sometimes they wake up and just cross, and sometimes they do what they're doing right now. Remember, this is the annual wildebeest migration that happens once a year, and it lasts about 3 months while in Kenya. And during this time, we have almost 3 million animals migrating from one place to the other. That is the Serengeti to the Mara. We have about 1.5 million wildebeest. Tim, you say if they could find somewhere calmer to cross? Well, that is not in their minds. That is not in their nature, because they're always, following an ancestral route. So they follow the scent left behind, or they follow the ones that have crossed there before. So there's never, they never changes. I wish they could think that way. They're always coming to the same crossings, but I wish they would think that way. Yeah, the behavior of wildebeest at a crossing is still to be written, like I've been saying, because it's very unusual behavior. They might come and go immediately. They might come, stay at the bank for quite a long time. You never know what's going on in their mind, and then all of a sudden, they can cross, and sometimes they can decide to go away. What I'm hoping is the heavens don't open, because the current trend is that if it rains, they all leave the river. They don't like crossing while it's raining. So I'm hoping the rain can stop a little bit so that we can see a crossing. Well, don't you worry until Yes, what happens is, so don't you worry, if they leave the river and leave completely and you don't see any, then for sure there will be no crossing. But as long as they are here, you can believe me that they might cross, because their mind is made up when they decide to go. Usually when one hasn't gone in, they will still continue walking around. Like, for example, right now, it's like they have decided where they were pointing is not appropriate. So it looks like they're choosing another spot. I don't know where they'll be going. It is very, very typical for this animal to do this. I was talking about the population of these animals. There is about 1.5 million wildebeest, about 500,000 zebra, and the rest is a mixture of eland, topi, Thompson's gazelle, and nomadic lions, leopards, cheetahs, wild dogs. All those follow these animals to come here. And you see that little guy with the sharp, straight horns. He might be doing his first migration up here. They're usually born in the months of February, March, and so they make it their first journey here. And some of them are weaned while crossing the river. So it actually plays a very big role. Apart from cutting down on the numbers, sometimes it weans some calves from their mothers, or their mothers from their calves. And remember, while they're here also, after feeding on the highly nutritious red oat grass, females come into season. So most of them right now are carrying a young one. So weaning a young one is also appropriate. We have seen quite a good number of zebras cross, but here we do have a good number. Yeah, the river is roaring today and raging. We've had lots and lots of rain. So it's slightly higher, and it can be very, very interesting. I'm holding on to this location because it might get interesting, and I don't want to miss anything. Well, looks like there's something happening here. Not everybody is leaving. Some of them are arriving at that spot there and stopping. There is a multiple crossings along where I am, and they might decide to use any. There is quite a good number of them. I have seen them cross in a very awkward spot along here where it's very rocky, and there's nothing I can do. All I want is to see a crossing. I'm hoping it happens. Looks like there's a small mini migration, but don't you worry. They might turn around.
Well, Isaac knows so well the best thing to do is to be patient where he is. I suggest maybe drive forward a little bit. I have seen a hippo here, and it's just hiding in the bushes. Just 1 minute. Are you happy there, Bungay? Okay. Now, this hippo must have come from the same river where Isaac is sitting, and it's not unusual to see hippos coming out of the water when the temperatures drop. Oop, something must have spoken there. I guess they are those ox pickers on her back. I would say more of his back than her back. Normally, females do not come out of the water on their own in general, as much as I'm sure there could be exceptions, but in general, it's the bulls that will come out of the water. Now, we've got two ox pickers enjoying the ride on his back, and hippos being grazers, it's going to get some grass. The grass there, it's a very tough grass that we call elephant grass, and you notice he keeps moving and he's not stopping to eat it because it's not very palatable. Now, normally what happens, when I turn around over my head, because Bungay is telling me forget about the hippo, let's look at some other antelopes, also associated with water. I'm saying associated with water because we call them waterbucks. Waterbucks because in general they are always near water. And you can see is a whole mixed group there of young males and the females. They're all looking at the hippo because I think they're surprised to see the hippo outside here. Well, I'll move on and hopefully get some lions ahead.
So we've come across a small herd of elephants. So far we can see at least 5 of them. And the largest female, which is probably the matriarch, is standing right in front of us here. The one you can see in the middle of the screen there. Most of them just resting in the shade. It is quite hot. It's about 27 degrees this afternoon, degrees Celsius. She's been feeding on these bush willow branches and now she's getting some grass there. It always amazes me how, how they get any nutrition out of this dry vegetation, and that's why they do have to eat so much of it to sustain those big bodies.
Now, if you have ever wondered what a relaxed reptile looks like, this is it. Look at this monitor lizard. Looks like he's just been at the spa and he is having the best day. Thoroughly enjoying the sun, of course, because reptiles do. They need the sun for energy. My name is Lauren. I do have Theo on camera. And we've just spotted, this is a leadwood tree here, and we've just spotted this lizard. Now, I thought it would have been a rock monitor. But in fact, when I look through my binoculars and the camera, I think it is a water monitor after all. They are different. They have different shaped heads, and the rock monitors do tend to be a little bit bigger than the water monitors. They're obviously both monitor lizards, but they're different species, and they do look different. But I think just closely looking at this one's head, it's a water monitor after all. So reptiles are what we call ectothermic, cold-blooded. In order to get energy, they need to bask in the sun like this. And this reptile just looks unbelievably comfortable. I'm rather jealous. I just want to quickly show you in my book, if that's okay, Theo. Just to give you an idea of how similar they are, but how they are also different. This one first. No, Reggie, they do not change colour, I'm afraid. So this is a water monitor. I'm just going to quickly show you that, and then I'll come to your question, Reggie. And you see how it's got quite a pointy snout there. And if you look at the mottled coloration, then we're going to switch over to show you the rock monitor quickly. And you'll see it's not got a pointy snout. It's got a very bulbous, round, quite a heavy head. And if you look, it's not quite so mottled. So we're definitely looking at a water monitor. And to go back to your question, Reggie, no, they don't change colour. Sometimes with reptiles, because they do rely on the sun, they can lighten and darken marginally when they're warm and when they're cold, but not like chameleons. Chameleons have very specialised cells, chromatophores, which allows the skin cells to change colour. And in chameleons, it's based on hormonal control. The chameleon is trying to express its mood. So chameleons are already camouflaged. They're green. They blend into the vegetation absolutely perfectly. They don't need to change colour to camouflage. That's a bit of a myth. They're changing colour to express their mood. Are they breeding? Are they angry? Are they scared? That's why chameleons will change colour. And it's a lot slower than people think because it's through hormones. The hormones need to go into the bloodstream. The bloodstream makes its, well, the blood makes its way around the body and sends a signal to the chromatophores. Whereas if you think of octopus, they are completely different. Their chromatophores change colour instantly, almost in fraction of seconds from neural control. So it's done by neurons firing in the brain. Rosalind, the rock monitors get a lot bigger than the water monitors. Now, I once read that you can find rock monitors at 2.5 meters long, but I've never seen one that long. Now, if you're going from the sort of snout to the body, I would say maximum 1.5 meters, which would be around almost 5 foot. But again, this is from the very, very sort of start of their snout to the tip of their tail. They do get large, but I've really never seen one at 2.5 meters. And again, the rock monitors are bigger and they are longer. But in general, monitor lizards are the largest lizards in Africa. And you only find the water. Look at its claws. Someone is so relaxed. You only find the water monitor and the rock monitor in South Africa, in the low veld, sorry. Here in the low veld, you don't get any other species, only these two. And we're not too far away from twin dams here. So this water monitor is really not too far away from water. And I imagine once he gets too hot up there, he probably will climb into the shade, or he may even jump into the water to cool down. Reptiles have to constantly manage their body temperature. They get too hot, although they need the heat, they must seek shade. They're too cold, they must seek warmth. It's nothing like mammals where our internal body temperature is continuously maintained. We don't really have to ever worry about that. Reptiles are completely different. And if they don't receive warmth from the sun, they do become very inactive. So therefore, they're not able to hunt, they're not able to feed. They normally just stay pretty still and stationary until that sun pops out.
So we're still with this herd of elephants, and we've just been watching this calf feeding on a termite mound here. And it looks like it wants to cross the road in front of us. Now notice, if you have a look at its face, you'll see that there are little bumps where the tusks are supposed to be. So how you can age a calf, and this is just like general rule of thumb, once those tusks just start showing, then they're around 3 years old. So I'd say he's just less than 3 years old. They're just about to come out. That's the coloration and how well they blend in with these brown trees this time of year. There are a few more starting to get up on our left here. Let's see if they also start feeding in this direction. Rosalind, how often do elephants eat? They eat a lot. So usually they'll feed for around 18 to 20 hours of the day. You can imagine for them to be able to sustain those big bodies, they have to eat a lot. And they have very poor digestive systems. So about 60% of what they eat will actually just go straight through. So they spend a lot of time feeding. I'm just going to move back a little so we can get a better view of them. She is... There we go. Let's see. All right, that might be a little bit better. Let's see. It seems like there's another female in the background, and there's also a calf next to her. And that calf was actually lying down when we passed them just now. So because they're on their feet for so long, you'll often find them resting in the hotter hours of the day. So then you'll just see them either standing against a tree or lying against a termite mound. But it looks like they're getting active again, and they might head to some water now.
Well, the elephants in the southern part of Africa and in East Africa are the same species. But the times when you look at both elephants there and here, and personally, I think the elephants here in East Africa are more rounded in shape than the ones in South Africa. Maybe that's how I usually look at them. With the cool temperatures, everybody happens to be busy. I'm talking of all the animals. We saw the hippo way out of the water feeding and the water bucks earlier, and it's not any different with these elephants that you're seeing here. The white birds you see there know just too well that with these big mammals moving in the grass, they'll have a lot to feed. With that youngster calf in between them, not sure she's doing any service to those egrets. Daniel, I think anything after 6 years going upwards, calves may even by that time they're not suckling and they're not considered calves anymore. And at 8, 9, sometimes you've seen at 10, the young boys or males will be out of the herd. And you see them forming small little groups on themselves. And as they get older, by 12 latest, they are shown the door by the females. And in every herd of elephants, Daniel, I'm sure you know, there'll always be the matriarch. And the matriarch insists that, the young boys must move to avoid any inbreeding in the herd. Cool to see my favorite animals, elephants, and I will be moving on to look for some more animals.
We haven't moved, we moved 1 meter. We're now looking at the other side of the road in this jackalberry where our usual tree agama sits. We see this tree agama almost every day. This is a female. You can see she's only just lightly blue on the head. She's not that bright turquoise blue that engulfs her entire head and goes down her back. She's only sort of got a little streak of almost greeny blue, and that's how we know it is the female. But the two of them are normally found on this tree, and I can't see the male today, which is rather unfortunate because he's so magnificent. But there she sits, and she's also basking. She's also relying on the sun. Oh, I think she had just had a snack, probably in the form of ant. And reptiles in general have a very interesting complex on the top of their head called the pineal complex, and it is quite complicated. But basically, there's an organ on the top of this tree agama's head, and basically it's photosensitive. So it reacts to changes in light, which directly relates to changes in day length. So they're able to sort of move their habitats and behaviors according to day length, which directly relates to seasonal changes, which is absolutely fascinating. It's a very unique organ, and it is called the pineal organ. Most reptiles do have a pineal complex, and it's said to be related to the third eye from the ancestors of reptiles. But it means it can sense changes in light, changes in day length, and change its movements with the seasons. Reptiles do not thrive in winter, but spring is really here now. I'm starting to see butterflies emerge. There's quite a few dragonflies around. Flowers are blooming. It's a very exciting time to be here in Djuma.
My wildebeest have decided to leave the river for reason unknown. There is nothing stopping them, but it's like not today. But for me, I know it's not over until it's over for wildebeest. They can decide to turn around, and things can change very, very fast. So I'm still sticking here, and I'm enjoying seeing them doing their own behavior. Chevy, thank you for your question. You ask if each herd stick to their own group every year. That's no. I don't know each individual, I won't lie to you, but I can see the confusion that is always around when they're moving. I have seen them in southern Serengeti, towards Olduvai Gorge, towards Ngorongoro. I've seen them in Lake Ndutu, that is Tanzania, where they give birth. I've seen them here. And I'm sure and I'm guaranteed that they do lose each other. So they are never in the same herd for very long. They're mixing and matching. Looks like everything is happening very fast and everybody is leaving. But I want to lock onto this area and see what's happening.
Back is in this beautiful male impala. Looks like they hold his high rim. He's right in front of him. Now we just spot him right in this open area, but we were fortunate enough to drive this road because we lost our poor bull giraffe, went into the thicket. So we thought we could drive around, hopefully we meet him again, but this is impala. Impala, they are general antelope out here. We don't have a springbok, but the impala, of course, it's a beautiful looking animal. Females, no horn, not like a springbok where male and a female also grow horn, but with these, only males that grow horn. As we start with him, we already have a look at him. The whole high rim looks like they're interested in entering a thicket, but it's great because then the male is in an open anyway. If anything is right behind them, male will first spot it and give alarm call for the rest to be well alert and well aware of the danger that could be around. Remember, when they spot a danger, they blow their nostrils hard that you could hear from the distances. But that is a safety, a warning, which means any of the other antelope that are around here, the different species now, they need to pay a lot of attention to that because also they're on the same menu as these impalas, which means they also have to look out for that alarm call, what that could be.
And dragonflies. I am ecstatic that the dragonflies are back out, but it's just disappeared. Give me a moment to try and find one for you. Dragonflies and damselflies belong to Odonata, the group, the family name, which means serrated teeth. They've got very sharp teeth and they are incredible creatures. Can you see where it disappeared, Theo? Neither can I. This pan is drying up very, very fast, but I imagine with the summer rains, it's going to be full once again very, very soon. There'll be dragonflies galore, and the weavers will come. We'll just give you a look at this tree that used to be filled with weavers' nests. And you can see it looks rather sad, rather empty. Most of them have just biodegraded themselves or fallen off into the water. But once again, with the onset of summer, the weavers will come and this entire mini habitat, this entire little ecosystem here will transform into something really magnificent. But unfortunately, our dragonflies are not playing ball. But this is the perfect place to find them. They have the most unique biology, dragonflies. I can talk about them for hours, but sadly we can't see them. This little pan will also be home to many, many frogs as well, especially the bullfrogs. I cannot wait.
So guys, just have a look at how huge those ears are. We've got a little steenbokkie lying in the shade of one of those blackthorns over there. But I mean, if you look at one of those ears, they're probably the same size as their head. And just the main reason for that, I mean, the steenbok is the smallest species of antelope that we have here in Tswalu. And with that being the case, if you had to imagine how big they are, their head will probably be at around knee height. So with that, even though they've got very good vision, I mean, their sense of sight is really good. Quite often when they are moving around in the thickets and so on, they can't see where they're going, or they can't see danger coming. So they've got those huge ears to help them to hear whatever is around. They say relative to their body size, if they were the size of a kudu, their ears would have been larger than that of a kudu. So relative to their body size, the largest ears out of all antelope that we have in southern Africa. But not only that, guys, with the steenbok, and then we have the springbok also here in the Kalahari. Those two smaller types of antelope are probably the best adapted to different heat. So with that being the case, they are probably the best, adapted for the heat around here.
So we've realized that we were actually surrounded by elephants and that we're just going to have to wait it out. And whilst looking at all the animals around us, we noticed that there was a cow with quite an abnormal tusk. So it looks like the one side has been broken off and the other side has actually grown off to the side. Now, we've been watching her feed, and it's quite interesting to see how she hooks the branches just to pull them closer, to break them off. And females in general, it's a cow, and they don't use their tusks to fight like the bulls. So generally they'll use those tusks to dig for tubers, or just to help them feed. So I'd be very interested to see how she digs with that tusk that's off to the side. Run, unfortunately, I do not know the answer to that question. I will, however, go look it up, and I will get back to you. But she has that tusk that she does have, the one she has, is quite long for a female. Usually the females have longer, thinner tusks compared to the bulls that have thicker tusks. She's also got a small calf next to her.
Yes, I'm watching this crocodile, and looks like he might have taken a fish a while ago. Too much information because it's not happening, but he's one of the big ones that I've seen in this section of the river, and looks like he's very determined to stay in that position, hoping that the zebra or wildebeest will cross, because most of the others I've seen them outside, either basking or just resting on the banks. But this guy has been here. I saw him this morning, and I think he's the same guy, who's here. He like that section of the river. Remember, this is the famous Nile crocodile, the supreme predator of these waters. They roam all the lake and rivers in Africa. Oh, there we go. My two hippos from this morning. they are still in the same spot. So I would assume the farthest to the left is the male who's stopping the female from passing. Yeah. Sorry, crocodile, I have to not to talk about you a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if the female hippo is looking at the crocodile or she's listening to me. Oh, the crocodile has decided that she wants to move on. Is that Station or Jason? You ask if they're always hungry. Mostly they are hungry before the migration, but right now I would think they are not as hungry. But what happens is the predatory behavior kicks in, and so when they see anything in water, they'll want to, kill it, and that's what drives them to kill. And then you see them holding on to the carcass using their strong jaws for a very long time, and sometimes after a while releasing it, and so it gets washed downstream. So they are not always, but the predatory instincts, drives them to kill even when they're not hungry. Right now, I don't think there's any crocodile that's very hungry, because since the end of July, we've had lots and lots of wildebeest zebra cross here, and many of them have been killed, but there is still enough to keep crossing. Oh, that's another monster. These are the big crocodiles of this river. They're always here, and I'm sure some of these big guys are very experienced and they've seen very, very many migrations, and so they are always here waiting for that return of the wildebeest. My wildebeest have left the river completely. You will not believe what I'm seeing. A while ago there was hundreds. Look at that. There was hundreds and hundreds, and only now I have a handful of zebras. I'm gonna wait here, and hopefully they will turn back towards the river.
Yeah, it's that simple, Isaac. Stay there, stay put, don't go anywhere. Now, maybe one of the zebras that you're seeing on the screen here might swing by there and cross and give you some joy to see it crossing the Mara River. One of the tallest, I would say rather, the tallest animal we got in the whole world, not only here in Africa, it is the giraffe. This particular species here is the Maasai giraffe. And what I want you to note is, look at the height of that tree in relationship to the leaves he's reaching at. I have observed him carefully and noticed, or have known or deduced it is a male. And they have this advantage of reaching very, very on the top canopy of most trees here. It's only the giraffes that have that advantage of trimming these trees. Julia, that's a great comment, and you're saying such a lovely giraffe, and perfect weather, Julia. And when you see him walking, ambling in, how he dwarfs the zebras, and he is making the zebras to look like the Thompson gazelles. Julia, I believe in the Thompson gazelles. But if you contrast the sizes of this particular bull here walking and the zebras looks like babies. Two legs of one side majestically moving together. Most animals do that, but I think it's more defined in the giraffes, and we call that ambling. And being a male, he could be there on his own. Maybe he's going to the next tree, and somehow they always shape these trees here, and they remain flat on top by eating the very top leaves. I'll just wait a few more minutes and see where he's going, or if he's going to stop and feed on another balanite tree.
She's talking. I've not heard anything.
Well, so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes you get these technical issues here and there, but the tech team will always fix them very quickly. As I just told you a few seconds ago, I was to wait here and I have not left this spot because I want to find out where this bull giraffe is going. Apart from enjoying how it is walking, look at that scenery. The typical savanna, very iconic habitat of the Masai Mara, with scattered trees, one tree here, one tree there. And most of these trees here are what we call the balanites. Are you going to stop there or are you going to pass that one too? No, he knows exactly which one he's going for. If you look at the grass ahead of him, that particular patch is a bit green and it always have a little swamp there. Maybe he's going for a drink after a lot of eating this afternoon. Apart from the zebras you saw there, there's no other sign of any other species of animal. When the zebras and the wildebeest may migrate, giraffes do not. Neil, I agree with you. Look at that walk. I'm not sure he's looking at that zebra there, Neil, that is just rolling itself on the ground, trying to reduce or suffocate any parasites she may have on the body. And remember, we are coming to you live from different locations of Africa. We are in the Masai Mara of Kenya.
Yeah, guys, that's the one, advantage of doing this from the comfort of your couch back home is you can be in 5 or 6 places all at the same time, seeing all the highlights that we see. And speaking about highlights, have a look at what we are looking at the moment. It's not just a bush. If you have a close look, I know it's a difficult one at the moment, but right in there, I'm not seeing the movement at the moment, but right in there is a mother cheetah with 3 tiny cubs. This is the one that we've been seeing since Saturday. This is the 3rd time that we see them now. So they're about, comfortably 3 weeks old. There you can see the one head popping up. Look at that. Baby. And so the mom has only moved from when we found them, only moved her den site once. They'll do that 3 or 4 times within the first month of the baby cheetahs being born, just because they don't want the smell to get too strong in a certain area and like a brown hyena finding them, or just keeping them safe in general, keeping the parasite load a little lower, all of those types of things. With cheetahs, as I've mentioned in previous game drives, they don't really den as much as like lions or leopards. So they do den these initial stages, first, let's say, month of the cubs being alive or being born. But that's just because the little ones are not yet mobile enough to follow mom wherever she goes. As soon as they get to the point where they can walk where she walks, then she's going to keep them with her at all times. Yeah, we just had a comment from Jia Wacha. She's so well hidden, and absolutely, I'm very impressed with this female's ability to choose the perfect den spot. And the previous time I actually told David that I don't like it because it's too good.
Here I am. Out of the blue, they have decided to come in their thousands. And this is a very interesting behavior that I have to say that I've witnessed today. They left and I almost lost hope, but I decided to stay here. Thank you for your courage and being there. And they have come back, and now I don't know if it's now or never. I don't know if they're going to cross, but there is a lot of confusion there. There is a lot of going around. You can see those three heading out, those three zebra heading out into the rocks. They will be start coming down towards the river, and this is the norm here. It is a behavior that I've seen before, and I can never get tired of looking at these guys, because you never know what is their mind and what's going to happen next. Remember to talk to us on hashtag Wild Earth. Question and comments very welcome. Tell me if you're enjoying yourself. Yes, and I'm going to be, watching them to see what is happening next.
So we've also arrived at the water hole at least, and we found a Bateleur eagle on the edge of the water having a drink. How special is that? Just have a look at those beautiful colors on the face when it turns again. You see it's got red and yellow, some black in there as well. Really is a spectacular bird. And when they're sitting like this, you can actually tell if it's the male or the female. So you notice that there is like that brownish cream bar almost on the shoulder, which tells us it's a male. If it was a female, she'd have a white stripe below that as well. So this is a male Bateleur. Always a nice one to find. This is also our company logo.
Bateleurs are one of my favorite birds, actually. But we're at one of my favorite dams, that is Chitwa Dam, and we're just admiring the hippos. You've always got to check in that big bloat of hippos that resides at Chitwa Dam. And it changes in numbers. There'll be different harems within the sort of dam. And depending on the water volume, which is directly related to the season, will depend on exactly how many hippos you find. Every sort of environment in the ecosystem, including water bodies, has their own carrying capacity. A certain number of the maximum number of animals that it can hold. If it goes above that, things start to go out of balance. And that can happen within a water body, especially with hippos. Once there's too many, it can have a knock-on effect on the rest of the ecosystem. Good day, sir. No, we're not talking today. We want to be under the water, which is exactly where I'd love to be. It's a very hot day. You tend to find in winter the hippos are out of the water more often, and in the summer they're in the water more often to try and cool down a little bit from the sun. They're actually nocturnal. Many people don't realize that, but hippos are classified as primarily nocturnal because during the day they're just resting. They do all of their feeding and other activities at nighttime. Daytime is just for relaxing, which is what this sort of group of hippos are doing right now. There's probably one bull, many females, and some youngsters. What another fantastic drive. Coming to you live from so many different locations is such a privilege. And you can keep watching the show. It doesn't end here. We've got another 2 hours to go, so you can still stay on board. So I don't think we're going to get any better view of our hippos here. I think they're going to stay firmly put under the surface. I'm just looking through my binoculars to see if I can see anything else lurking around the dam. We would normally see a lot more predators at Chitwa Dam in winter, but sadly there's just so much water everywhere else that we're just not seeing that number of predators around the dam anymore. They don't need to come here. They don't need to come to such an open, exposed area like Chitwa Dam when they've got all these other water points and all these other little pans to go to. So there's lots of other places they can drink. They don't need to come here to this very dam and leave themselves vulnerable.
That's very correct, Lauren. I have moved on, left the elephants I had earlier, and I found this one huge bull by himself. After having left the giraffe, rather, that I saw walking, which was a male, and I got another male elephant, a male elephant here, another male species after the giraffe. And very majestic. And again, just like the giraffe that we saw alone, once in a while you'll see these bulls on their own for so many days. If he's still prime in terms of mating and comes to breeding with the females, we'll see him also wander off and he'll go and join the females that will be in estrus and he'll be mating. It gives them a lot of space to be on their own. And if you look carefully, the grass where we are, it's quite lush. And more often than not, we have seen males just moving on their own and taking spaces like this. And if there are other bulls in different herds, they may come and they're always accommodating to invite them. What happens is we don't see females merging in different families, but bulls will always join together. He must be feeding earlier in the forest that you see there. But what I also want to show you is one of the largest trees that we got in East Africa. We have other bigger ones, but this is called a fig tree. It's one of the largest trees that I personally like seeing from a distance. Fig trees, and when they are fruiting, you'll always see baboons or certain monkeys or different monkeys on top trying to feed on the fig fruits. They make very good shade, very solid, and they remind me of the baobab trees. Baobab trees are different trees that we also have here in East Africa that are equally huge, almost to that size, but I would say slightly bit larger. That is a beautiful scenery, and I want to spend a few more minutes here with this big elephant bull.
Yes, my wildebeest are still milling around in circles. They went really fast towards that middle crossing, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, let's wait a little bit longer. It's not now. It's not time. And I don't know what's going on in their mind, but it looks like there is a crossing brewing. When I cannot tell you. These looks like a lot of females and the young ones, the yearlings. Most of them are about 6-7 months. They're making their first journey up here and looks like the urge to cross is what has brought them here, because there is plenty of water out there. So definitely is all about crossing. The reason they are not going now, I don't know. Maybe it's the sound of the rapids. Well, I think that could be one thing that can make them not go across. And secondly, is they are not ready. Those three in front are very young. The one to the right looks like he was born, last year, and the two maybe early this year. Yeah, looks like they are leaving, but it doesn't mean that it's the end, and that's why I want to be at this spot as much as possible. Hopefully something will happen soon.
Good afternoon and welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, everyone. Finally, we've managed, after some technical difficulties, to find some signal and managed to find an animal to show you. And we've come out to the beautiful open clearings, the open grassy areas that you by now are quite familiar with on Phinda. And we've managed to find a big kudu bull, and he's actually standing amongst some pretty dead and distasteful looking leaves, but he is in some shade there and he hasn't moved for the last 10 minutes, I'd say, and so he's probably just resting there for the day. It has been quite hot and very windy today, so he's just trying to get out of the wind a little bit and also found some shade to rest. Now you might wonder why he's standing in amongst all this burnt and dry leaves, and it's because there was recently a fire in this area. And what happens with fire is a lot of the shrubs, the sugars in their branches all caramelize and go right to the end of the branches, and kudus are browsers feeding on leaves and twigs and new growth, and so what he will be doing in this area is feeding on the ends of some of these very dead looking shrubs, getting the last bit of nutrients out of the trees. But for now he's just resting. And we did notice on his shoulder, just where his neck meets his shoulder, he's got quite a nasty looking bump there, like a lump. And we haven't really had too good of a look at it, but it is something that we see every now and then. So Chris was asking about that lump, and we can only imagine or assume what might have happened, but out here in the bush there's lots of things that could happen that we don't see. And so what perhaps might have happened is this kudu may have been chased by something or gotten a fright and tried to run away, and maybe a little branch went into his neck and it might have snapped off in there underneath the skin, and then the skin would have closed and healed on top of it. And that might be how something like an abscess could have formed there. I don't think it's anything like a tumor or something that is like really life-threatening like that. It is something that we would keep an eye on. So if we saw this kudu again and it was much, much bigger, then it would be something that we would get our team to look at and investigate to see whether it is dangerous or not. So we are going to continue on our journey this afternoon. We are looking for some elephants. There were some elephant bulls in this area, and we're thinking that perhaps they have moved down to some water. So we're going to go check some water holes in this area.
My wildebeest are showing some very, very, very interesting behavior. Look at this. Like 2 minutes ago, I was like, maybe they have decided to leave the bank once again. But all of a sudden, the last ones decided they wanted to have a look at that edge of that old crossing. And it looks like, they are measuring, they are smelling, they are looking. I don't know what interests them there, but it's a very, very interesting look. Some of them are like, can we jump here? Do we go here? Is it appropriate for everybody? Well, and somebody says, okay, maybe I can eat a little bit of grass here while you guys decide if we're going or not. But all these are behaviors that I see here in the crossing. I tell you, if you have no patience in a place like this, you can get really, really frustrated. So hold on there. You know, we have to be patient here because it is an animal that nobody has really defined its behavior here at the crossing. You can never tell what a wildebeest is thinking. You know, 1 minute it's doing this, the other minute it's doing this. Look at those ones up there. It's like they're not together, they are leaving. It's like, you know, I'm not doing this. And, you know, next minute they might stop and come down. Sometimes I feel sorry for the zebra because they look at the, you know, they look confused. They don't know what to do. You know, to look at those one in the middle there, they look very bored. It's like, you know, what are we doing here? Look at those ones standing in the middle there. You know, they have so much energy, the wildebeest. A lot of it goes to waste because, you know, for the last more than 1 hour since I arrived here, they've just been doing the same. But this is all about the wildebeest. This is what they do. And, you know, we might want them to go, but I find it sometimes, you know, amusing, entertaining. At the same time, you know, Janet, yeah, interesting. You know, you ask me, you know, when do they decide to cross the river? It's a question I cannot be exact, you know, with an answer because when they go, they go. When one goes down, walks in the water and decide to go across, everybody goes across. But it's not always guaranteed that all of them will follow, because I've seen 5 cross and everybody else goes back. So it is a rather tricky question to be precise and give you an answer. So until they decide to cross is when they decide to cross. Yes, very interesting. I'm loving this. At the same time, I'm getting tired a little bit, but there's nothing I can do. I just have to be happy that they are there and I can talk about them. And you know, we are learning, you know, from this behavior. Next year, we'll just be more than be patient. You know, look at these 3 here walking. It's a good area where they're headed. There is a nice walk down or a descent where they could walk down and touch the water, then jump in. But still, it is not guaranteed. Time is running out, so you wildebeest better gather up and come across to my side. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Mara Triangle in East Africa, in Kenya. And this is the annual migration of wildebeest. And that's why it is very exciting to have them here, because once they go in the next few months, I won't be able to talk about them. I won't be able to be at this spot for like an hour because there won't be much to share apart from the river, the crocodiles, and the hippos. So it's rather, you know, nice to have them here doing their own thing. Yeah, what are the zebra deciding? There's one really shaking his head, coming down as the wildebeest leave. There is that one coming. Uh-oh, he's decided to stop. There's another one ahead. Yeah, there is confusion. Yeah, you can never tell who's going to be the first one to go in. They are right at the edge. There's nothing stopping them from going. Jane, thank you for your question. You asked me why we don't see Thompson's gazelle crossing. They haven't come to this point yet. They do cross, but I haven't seen them here. But when they come, we'll be able to see. I think it's the timing. They either cross too early, we didn't see them. You know, when I say early, maybe very early in July or late July. and we might see them towards the end of this month maybe, or in between. I can never tell exactly where they are, but at the moment actually we haven't seen any. Hopefully they will be crossing, before all the animals go back, but usually they are amongst what we call the body, because with the migration there is what we call the head. Those are the first few that arrived, and then we have the body, which is the hundreds of thousands. Then we have the tail. So I would say maybe they are still amongst these guys, and we might be able to see them in the next coming days. I can never predict. I'm staying here to watch these guys and their interesting behavior.
Talking of arrival, I have my favorite species of butterfly, and I'm going to put Theo through his paces to see if he can track this animal. It's not going to be easy because it's not settling. We've been waiting here a few minutes to try and get it to settle, but citrus swallowtails are not are notorious for not settling. It's a very, very busy butterfly. Go, Theo, go, go, go. But I really wanted to show it to you. It's a huge butterfly and it's one of my favorites. Now, talking of arrival, like they're discussing about the wildebeest and the mara, this butterfly could be an early, sort of a newly emerged butterfly, maybe the first of the season. Because butterflies have very, very short lifespans, and therefore normally most of them die by the time winter arrives. So we have had some rain, and when you sort of emerge from your chrysalis, directly relates to when your mother laid her eggs. So if the mother butterfly laid her eggs at the very, very last minute of summer, then you may be sort of the last ones to hatch again the following year. Oh, there we go. Hello, beautiful. Ah, my first butterfly of the season. So I hope you can all join me this year. I know some of you did last year in creating a butterfly list for the year. We make a list of every single species that we see. And here is number 1, citrus swallowtail. Are you glad it's settled, Theo? Butterflies are one of my favorite insects. And I never thought I would ever say this, but they have incredible biology, incredible survival techniques. And yes, most people know that a butterfly comes from a caterpillar, but that transformation is something so unique in the animal kingdom, completely sort of liquefying yourself into special discs, into special cells that are able to retain that information and build you back up again into a butterfly, which almost seems alien-like, really, but it's not. Ah, my day is made. My first butterfly of the year.
They'll move over that road. Alrighty, guys, we've got 3 ostriches here. A male in the front and then 2 females. Those 2 are that's on screen right now in the back. But just an interesting thing that I want to tell you about these guys is, out here in the Kalahari, we've got another species of animal or scavenger that's called the brown hyena. It's something that we don't see often. They're mostly nocturnal and very shy. And for the ostriches, or for their eggs more specifically, the brown hyena is probably the greatest threat that they've got around here. Purely because they've got that strong jaw. Now with brown hyenas, they have very much the same social structure as a spotted hyena. However, there's one big difference, and what that is when they go out at night. So they'll live in a clan, but then when they go out at night, they exclusively go out by themselves. So you don't find them hunting and, chasing lions off kills and all of those things like you'd find with the spotted hyenas. So with that being the case, they almost exclusively scavenge. You will find them maybe catching a little rodent, or if they can, scrub hare or something like that. But with them scavenging almost completely, when they come across a nest of an ostrich, the ostrich isn't really brave enough to keep them by themselves, so they eat quite a lot of the eggs of the ostrich.
Welcome back to Ambionpinde, everyone. And we've managed to find these 2 white rhino bulls at one of the remaining watering holes that we have left in this area. And they've just arrived to drink. Look at that water dripping from their mouths. You might be able to tell from that water running down how windy it is. And it seems like today they were down in a low-lying area because we haven't seen many rhinos today, and perhaps they were down there trying to get out of the wind and been feeding, and now they've come out to drink. Oh, we've just heard a kudu alarm call, which is definitely something that we will investigate, but we're going to sit with these rhinos and watch for a little bit. It looks like 2 bulls, and that would mean, because we watched them coming from quite a distance away, and they walked the whole way together, so I assume they've been moving together for quite a while, and that is just because white rhinos can be a lot more social, so they like to have other white rhinos around them, except for when they actually become a dominant bull, then they establish a territory. So these 2 might just be moving together just as a sense of comfort as they learn their surroundings and they try to find a territory or an area to mark as their territory. See, the ears also coming up every now and then, but get tucked back when the wind picks up. So Rochelle is asking, how much water do rhinos need to drink daily? That's a good question. So most of the time rhinos do drink just about every day, and sometimes twice a day, especially now in winter when it's quite dry. And it's somewhere between 20-25 liters of water a day that they will come and slurp up, maybe in 2 intervals, especially in winter when there's not a lot of moisture in the grass that they're eating. Oh, you might hear those common waxbills that just flew over us. There was a huge flock that was drinking and they just flew over us. So yeah, it will be more now in winter when there's less moisture in the grass that they're feeding on. In summer, especially in Pinde, the grass gets really lush and green and full of moisture. So they won't head to water as often, maybe once a day. For anyone that's watching that doesn't know, these are 2 white rhinos. Just on a few features like the broad square mouth and the long 45-degree angled head, and that 2 bumps on the back. We're going to sit with these rhinos for a little bit longer, watch them drinking.
Welcome back to Ngala. So we've left the waterhole. We didn't have much luck there, other than that beautiful patch of leer that we saw. And we decided to come back to the riverbed and look what we found. Another herd of elephants. And if you look closely, you'll actually notice that they are drinking. So elephants have a preference for clean water. So a lot of the times we actually just passed quite a dirty puddle, And all around the puddle, you could see big holes where elephants had dug for clean water. And you can actually see this young bull digging there for water, using his foot to dig. There you go. And then what you'll see is he'll suck the water up with his trunk and then pour it into his mouth. It's quite a hot day, as I've mentioned a few times, so we're actually seeing them splashing water onto themselves as well. There we go, having a little drink. There was a cow with a tiny calf that just came in after the first ones that arrived, and she was shoving this bull around. Every time he found a nice hole where he was drinking, she pushed him off to the side and he would go find or dig a new hole. It was quite funny to watch. But it looks like they're happy with where they're drinking now. Little hoot. I don't know if you can hear those low rumbles that they're making at the moment. Just a form of communication. That's, the cow's kind of pushing the youngster around. Some of these holes are really, really deep. And we were actually watching the younger calves almost completely disappear into these holes. Very peaceful. There's another cow drinking with her calf.
So guys, this is not something we get to see often out here. They're normally quite widespread. So seeing these vultures here accumulated by the waterhole, actually quite cool. It looks like there's a mixture of, I definitely saw some lappet-faced vultures, there's white-backed vultures, and there might even be some Cape vultures around here as well. We'll go a little closer now. Just don't want to spook them off yet. But normally when we've got an accumulation of vultures around here, at the waterhole or so, it typically means that there was a carcass here in close proximity to this waterhole. Doesn't necessarily mean that there's any of them left or any of the carcass left anymore, with them being over here. They might have come to bathe and to clean themselves after feeding on that carcass. They do seem to be quite clean, so I do think they probably finished the carcass in the morning. But we'll then anyway have a look, and there's a couple of them that has gone up already, just as we arrived at the waterhole. So we'll have a look and see if we can see where they're going. If they do take us to maybe a kill site or just a carcass for that matter, we might be getting lucky with a brown hyena or something like that a little later on. But yeah, just a special treat to get these oaks over here. And bathing for them is quite important. You'd think that a vulture who's a scavenger wouldn't mind being dirty as much, but imagine, guys, they've got those long necks which they use to push their heads into all nooks and crannies, into like rotting carcasses, so blood and everything getting stuck on them, and having that on them constantly, that's also going to start rotting. So very important for them to clean themselves regularly. And that's also the reason why they don't really have pronounced feathers on their neck and head area, just so that it doesn't get full of I almost want to say muck afterwards. Yeah, we just had a comment from Danger Girl that it's a secret meeting for these vultures. Absolutely. It would seem like it. I love when the vultures have secret meetings like this, because then normally we know that we're in business. When there's maybe a kill somewhere or so, a cheetah that took down a gemsbok, or a lion that took down an eland or something like that. So always a good type of meeting when the vultures are having a secret meeting. But yeah, guys, just to come back to the neck and head area, very important for them not to have prominent feathers on there, just so that it doesn't get stuck, all the blood and little pieces of meat get stuck on that.
Yes, looks like an interesting decision has been made to walk closer to the water and see what is stopping, them, the wildebeest, from crossing. See how close they are from just wading through, but no decision has been made. There were a few more earlier, and you can tell now they're going back. And this can go on for a little bit longer, but looks like they are much more determined now to come closer to the water. Are the zebra gonna go? Is it now? I don't know. Yeah, is it now? Is it gonna happen? Okay, come on, zebra. You were just about to go. Well, that's how it is. It can make your heart pound, race, when you think, yay, we got it. Then all of a sudden, it's not time. Yeah, that's why I never get very excited, and you can see why. Look at that. Where did he come from? I would say it's a very bad move, because now, if they've noticed him, there won't be a crossing unless it starts now. If more, see him, there won't be a crossing. So I'm hoping the other ones further up will decide to go and wade through, and then we might have one. Look at all of them, very close. You never know what's going on in their mind. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm very much like you. This is, something that I've seen for many years, but I can never tell exactly when they are going to cross. Yeah. Also, it doesn't help, back there we'll be showing you, there is that log in the water that's, moving up and down. I think they think it's it's a crocodile. Yeah, look at this, I don't know, what they're thinking. I don't know what's going on in their mind. They really want to go, but nobody has decided to be the leader. And of course, maybe a few have seen that big crocodile, and it's stopping them from going through. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Mara Triangle in the Masai Mara in Kenya. We are watching the annual wildebeest crossing the Mara River. Of course, they haven't started crossing. I'm hoping it can happen anytime. It's very exciting, even for me. Having seen this for many years, it's still very, very exciting. So what's happening here? Looks like they're moving back. They're all, milling around that elephant grass. Are they gonna come down? Are they gonna go? It's very difficult to tell when they're going to go. Remember, to talk to me on #WildEarth. Questions, comments are very, very welcome. Yes, I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Hopefully it will happen soon.
Beautiful. He's just, found this beautiful herd of elephants just close to us. How beautiful it is. Looks like all mixed here, what I've seen. Looks like 3 bulls that I've seen so far, the bigger one. If you look past that young one, further away there, you see that male with these beautiful thicker tuskers. But this is, well, elephants, they're not territorial for sure. And bulls that you do find them in group of 6 or 8, 10 bulls together. It only works with who dominate. But at the same time, being for them in this group, it's just because of forage, finally they all just approach. It's not a problem for them to join the herd, all of them. But sometimes the females don't really appreciate having males with them. Especially this young male that just turned 16 years, 16, 14 years. Those are the ones that sometimes they give a lot of a problem, hard time. Give a lot of a time to those young males. Those are just born after. So for that, their mother have to turn around and yell at them, push them away, this young male. But it could be that, yes, you see in a young male here, they could be still under the age of probably, 10 years of age. But since then, they're enjoying their food, which is a source of grass is available. It's going to take a moment of silence just to hear what this is all about right now. Hey man, want to know what is the difference between male elephants and a female elephant? A lot of time, the size of the animal that counts. So now we're gonna just cut that. Look at this one trying to push that tree down, but I haven't forgotten that answering that question. You see the tree's already down. That female, she just did it right now while we were just trying to answer the question. And the tree in front of her is down. And they're capable of doing that. Look how she's going to just pull it up off the ground. That is for the roots she needs from that tree. The young one's going to join as well. Look, picking up that piece of wood. So yeah, going back to the question. So the bull elephant, or the male elephants, they're always a lot bigger in size. But a lot of time also they can check or looking at the head, shape of the head, all round for the male. Down we're not actually have a good enough of light, but I'm sure we will go around, look at these elephants from the other side. Hopefully we get enough gap from the other side, then you can able to tell the difference. Where there are 3, I think, could be more than 4 males in this group. When we look at their size, you can able to tell, whoa, this is what Andrew was talking about. So, female are a lot smaller, males are bigger in size, but the tusker also counts. For the males, they have a thicker tuskers, where female, they grow thinner tuskers. And the female, they also have square head, and that's why the female sometimes, the weight of them it's less than male weight. Of course, male could weigh about 6 ton, female 3.5, 4 ton, 5 ton. That's the average for a female. So there is a difference. This is a beautiful herd. I mean, it's always nice to get a closer look at them. So we'll wait around here, see what they do for us.
So many more elephants have decided to join the party down in the riverbed here, including a few young bulls. that made quite a scene when they arrived. Just a trail of dust behind them as they ran down the bank here. Females making a lot of noise, but things have settled down a bit. But you can see there are a lot of them here now. Lots of small calves in between as well. We watched one of the younger bulls coming down in kind of like a, I would say, bobsled manner, just dragging his knees like over the sand into the riverbed. It was hilarious. So watch them when they drink. The first few sips might be quite sandy, and then they won't pour it into their mouths. And you'll see, I can compare it to a hose pipe. If someone's not holding the end of the hose pipe, you know, when you turn the water on, that hose pipe just goes everywhere. And especially the bulls, they just let that trunk go around spinning and flaring. They're quite flamboyant in that way. And it's quite a fun thing to watch. Let's see. Oh. I'd say at least between 20 and 30 elephants next to us here now. So beautiful. So I heard that at Djuma you were chatting about the difference between the males and the females. Now, if you have a look at some of these larger elephants, you'll notice the angle in the head, or on the head. Let me just see. That one's a bit tough to see. There we go. Now she turns. So this is only valid if it's a mature animal, but with the females, normally they'll have a very angular head, and the bulls will have a more rounded head. But it's not always a good way to tell the difference, because sometimes you'll see that some of the younger bulls might also have an angle in the forehead. Hello. Just going to show you this. So there's another bull here. He's going crazy with that trunk. Let's see if he does it again. When he slurps up the water. Watch. He's splashing water and sand onto all of the elephants around him there. I'm sure they don't mind. There we go. You can see there's some nice long grass. TaylorMade, when can guests visit the reserve again? It depends where you're from. At the moment, the reserve is open, but only to South African guests. So once our borders open, we'll be welcoming guests from all over the world again. So if you're currently in South Africa, you can definitely come visit us. So we'll stay with them for a little bit longer and see where they head from here.
You might wonder why we are not showing you the river, but interesting things do happen with the wildebeest. And they all left the river and our camera had to follow them. It was no need to show you where they were because there is zero. All of them have gone to the plains across the other side, and looks more and more and more, and more of them are heading away. I don't know what's to the right of the, where the zebras are, but it is not over until the show is over. So, we are enjoying what they're doing. Hopefully the next time they come down, they will, they will decide to go across. It was very, very close, as they say, close but no cigar. They almost went. I cannot believe it. But they decided to go back. That is about 2.5 hours of energy lost by them. And that's why I think sometimes these guys are meant to do that, and they are athletes. They are very fit. They don't find it tiring. They can do that the whole day. Right now looks like it's over, but I doubt it. It will just take one to turn around and come, and they might go. Sometimes I think, they're going to have small meetings up there while they eat and come back. Remember, this is the white-bearded gnu, a very common wildebeest, in East Africa. The main domain is Serengeti and Masai Mara in Kenya. This time of the year, they are making Julia, Jumbo, you say maybe they will cross tomorrow. You never know. They are wildebeest and they are allowed to do what they want. Yes, the only thing is I have to stay and we have to enjoy together so that we don't come tomorrow and they're gone. So we have to wait and see. Yes, I was talking about, they do the annual migration. And they are here for a very short time, about 3 months. And during this time, they are crisscrossing the river, which we enjoy. The river you're seeing here is the mighty Mara River that traverses the Masai Mara, about 80 to 100 kilometers through the Masai Mara. It divides it into two. It stretches about 300 kilometers from the Mau escarpment all the way to Lake Victoria. And it is nice and wide here. I would say it's one of the widest spots of the river. Right now it's flowing slightly higher than yesterday. From where you see it, it can go up to 30 feet. In January and February, March, it was very, very, very high. Where I'm parked right now was the river. And that's because we had lots and lots of unexpected rain. Right now, it's moderately how it's supposed to be. And it's flowing nicely. I don't know, just because that we've had rain in the last couple of days, that the rapids are louder. And maybe this big herd of wildebeest has never been here when it's this loud. And that's why they are not going right now. Because they are coming, looking at the river, and then leaving, changing, from one spot to the other. Look at that. They were there not more than 10 minutes ago. And right now there is zero. There is nothing. And there's no croc stopping them from coming down. Or do we see one, James? Is there one? Oh, look at that. He just appeared. That's not a very good move, Croc. Because now you'll stop everybody from coming down. I don't know if he'll be smart to go down and not come out. It looks like he's determined to come out onto the bank. Is he gonna come? No, he's decided to park there and watch them come down. Yeah, I'm gonna watch, I'm gonna continue, watching them, and so that if they come, we can have a good time watching them.
Welcome back to and Beyond Pinde, everyone. We've managed to find those 2 elephant bulls that we came out looking for this afternoon. Sounds like there's a little bit of uncertainty with those wildebeest at the Mara, which could be quite interesting, I'm sure. So we heard some kudu alarming when we were sitting with those rhinos, and we investigated a little bit. So far we haven't found the kudu. We haven't managed to find any signs of what they might have been alarm calling for. But we did manage to come across these two elephant bulls, and they are quite busy feeding. Every now and then we hear branches breaking, and they are busy feeding on some leaves and twig. And then I did see one of them picking up some grass now, which is quite interesting. The grass is very, very dry, but I'm sure that elephant sensed that there might be some nutrition left in that clump of grass that he picked up. So I only managed to catch a portion of that question, unfortunately. Just looking at this elephant bull, we can see that he's got quite skewed tusks. Oh, Minamu, thank you for the question. I managed to hear that time. So, do elephants trumpet only when they're upset? No, they can actually trumpet when they are in a number of different moods, but upset is the most common one that causes them to trumpet. But they will trumpet as well when they are excited. But the obvious one would be when it is upset. Trumpeting will let whatever is upsetting the elephant know that it's not happy, and that's the main reason why they would trumpet.
Welcome back. Welcome back to Ngala, where we are still watching the elephants drinking in the riverbed. Some of the youngsters lying down in the shade of their mothers there. It's a long day on their feet, so this is actually the perfect place to be lying down. I'd like to come back to the tusks. Earlier there was a question asking how much does an elephant's tusks grow every year. And I've looked it up, and it seems like it's about 15 to 18 centimeters annually. So the average tusk length of an elephant is around 2 meters. And then just for interest's sake, I looked up what the largest recorded tusks were. And apparently it was an elephant in Kenya. He was named Ahmed. And his tusks both of them were around 3.5 meters. Now that is gigantic. most of the elephants you can see in front here, they've got fairly small tusks. And that's also due to those, the genes. The elephants with the larger tusks were the ones that were hunted back in the day. So we don't regularly see elephants with massive tusks in this area anymore. Every now and again you'll see them pop up. Holistic. How long do elephants spend eating every day? So they're on their feet for about 18 to 20 hours of the day. And during that time, they will feed. I mentioned earlier that they have really poor digestive systems. So, they have to eat a lot to sustain those big bodies of theirs. And they're herbivores as well. So you can imagine it's a lot of grass and leaves, and they even sometimes eat these reeds that we see in the riverbed here. This time of year, the grass is pretty much dead. It is coming back again now, but so they dig for roots a lot, and they strip the trees for bark, and they'll eat fruit if they can find that, or seed pods. But it is a tough time of year. Yeah, so they spend a lot of time on their feet. So that's why it is important, especially for the youngster, to take a break when they can. What you'll find with the larger elephants, when they want to rest, they'll either lean against a large tree, or with the really big bulls, what you'll see is they'll just lean against a large termite mound, just so it's easier for them to rock themselves back up when they want to leave. Now, watch that female on screen. She just pulled out a clump of grass, and notice how she's shaking it around. So what she's doing there is that clump of grass still had a lot of soil attached to the roots, and she obviously doesn't want to chew on that. So she's trying to get rid of all the dirt and debris on the grass there, so she can put it in her mouth. But she is struggling. She's really flinging it around. Jeez. Emily, where do elephants give birth? They don't have a specific area that they'll give birth. Whenever the female that needs to give birth is ready, she'll give birth. But what often happens is she'll give birth in the middle of the herd. So the rest of the herd will generally surround her, just to protect her and the new calf. You can imagine, with all the afterbirth and everything that comes along with an elephant giving birth, it will attract a lot of scavengers, and the other elephants will usually they'll face out, and they'll be on the lookout for scavengers and predators. But anywhere really, so it could be in the riverbed, it could be in the open grassland, it could be in a thicket somewhere, just about anywhere. Still flinging their trunks around. RJ, how long do elephants live for? In the wild, usually around 50 to 60 years, which is a very, very long time. often when I watch these older animals, I wonder what they've seen and what they've experienced in such a long time in this bush. A lot of wisdom there.
Alrighty, guys, we just arrived back at the cheetah den site, and now we can see them much better. You know, with the sun going lower, the shade is getting more, and so they are getting a little bit more adventurous. With it cooling down. Also, we left them earlier just because it was so warm. They wouldn't have done much. But this is just so cool. Look at that little guy looking at us. Shame. Not that I think he'll be able to see us at the moment. Their vision is not that great. It'll develop over the next couple of weeks into very, very good eyesight. But for the time being, we are just enjoying this. That little guy might come out into the open. It seems almost like, because I'm not seeing the mom at the moment, it might be that she's gone off to maybe drink water or get something to eat. You know, with 3 babies like that, drinking from her constantly, she needs to replenish the stores quite a bit. So it might be that she went off to hunt and will only return a little later, and that's caused them also to be a little bit more, you know, have a longer leash, because mom's not here to tell them, come back. Oh, but this is just so cute. And as you can see, you know, So Chris just had a question, why are most animals born dark? And Chris, there's a couple of explanations to that, but the main explanation, or the ones that do get born dark, are typically the ones that either burrow or that use den sites as a means of keeping their little ones, you know, safe in the beginning. So normally you either have a tunnel going in, so being dark, they blend in with the darkness quite well, or in the case of the cheetahs, which doesn't burrow, with them being that darker coloration, when they're lying still in the shade, in this thick stuff, they also blend in with the environment just a little bit better. But then if you look at something like a baby blue wildebeest, you know, when they're adults, they are quite dark in color, almost that bluish gray shine to them. But when they get born, they're they are a tawny color, as is with the eland and with the oryx and with roan and with sable for that matter. So tawny color, just to blend in with their environment when their moms hide them in the grass when they're busy grazing. So, you know, that coloration at birth, whether it be dark or that tawny color or whichever color it may be, is all just to enhance their camouflage, and in doing so enhance their chances of staying hidden and survive those early stages. So yeah, guys, with them, I don't know if you noticed, we spoke about it the other day, you know, they are quite dark, and the original coloration that you see is dark, but when they come into the light, you know, if something does spot them and they go closer to those little cheetah cubs, you'll see on their backs they've got this little layer of white fluff, which is seemingly, when you look at it, it just makes them look cute to our eyes. But if you have, let's say, a jackal coming by and they see one of these little cubs and they see that white fluff on the back of the little cheetah, their first reaction is not baby cheetah, it will be honey badger. And I don't know how familiar those of you are with a honey badger. No one wants to mess with a badger at all. They are little tanks. So that's going to be a bit of a startle effect that the little cheetah will have on potential enemies. But also then, like we said the other time as well, that longer fur is definitely good for them to keep a little warmer during cooler nights and so on, just because they can't regulate their body heat. But just look at how cute that is already. Stunning, stunning. Really, really beautiful. So we had a question just from Stuck in Bed. How often do we have baby cheetahs on our reserve? And it's a tough question to, conclusively answer, just because sometimes the moms are successful in raising their cubs, sometimes not. With these little guys being so fragile at a young age, there is quite a few enemies that will pose a threat to them not making it to adulthood. So if the mom is not, I don't want to say she's not a good mom, if she's unlucky with a litter, you'll find a female having babies maybe 3 times a year if she loses the first 2 litters. However, if she is, successful, she won't have cubs for another almost 18 months to 2 years before she'll get pregnant again. So it's difficult to really say. This is my first cubs like this that I've seen at Swadden.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Kuchava. It has been a while since I have seen Princess Kuchava. She's had us up and down, shall we say, everywhere. There's been an exhausting ride to find her, but we've got her in the Mulwanini on Chitwa Chitwa. Now, this is Tandy's daughter, for those of you who are not familiar with Kuchava. And she has a son. I'm not entirely sure where her son is at the minute. She's obviously left him behind, and she's been very busy. She's not stayed still for 1 second, but hopefully we can get some lovely viewers. I have a funny feeling she's looking for her next meal. She hasn't spotted it yet, but she was looking at some impala earlier. And I know some of you were worried about Kuchava because we hadn't seen her, but it's very normal to lose sight for wild animals for a while. It's a vast landscape here. Not as vast as Swallow, but there's a lot of areas, plenty places they can hide. If they don't want to be seen, then they won't. Mvula is her father, proven by Panthera DNA, so she comes from great genes. She looks just like her mama. And she's 6 years old now, so she's in her prime. She's a dominant leopardess of Chitwa Chitwa and a large portion of Torchwood. She borders Sibue in the south, and she also borders her mother, Tandy, and Ikanyeni. So she's just sitting on this termite mound in the shade here, but I have a funny feeling she's going to bounce off after some delicious antelope soon. Alyssa, you were just thinking about her this morning. Well, your thoughts have brought her into reality, so thank you, my dear. I have been waiting to see Kuchava for a long time. I was hoping her son would be here, but that's okay. Because of her territory, our vehicles cannot always traverse the area. We can't go into Torchwood, and there's areas of Chitwa that's not really accessible for us either. And that's why we don't see Kuchava so much. But she's a gorgeous leopardess, and of course Tandy would have handed her a section of her own territory, and they border one another. Now I think they are doubles. She's her mother's daughter, without a doubt, whereas I think Klalamba looks like her father. Now, that's just my opinion, but I think we're looking at a little mini Tandy here. I should have stashed her son somewhere, and I think she's the one going off to hunt. There's lots of vehicles on the main boundary line hoping to see her, but I have a funny feeling she's not going to cross back for a while. She's going to stay on Chitwa Chitwa. But it's so fantastic to see her. Hi, girl. Her name means scared. She was very skittish and scared as a cub, which her son is also, interestingly enough. Her son's very skittish around vehicles, but she's grown into a fine leopardess who's really not scared of vehicles whatsoever. Oh, bless you. Oh. I don't know if that's a sneeze or a fly in the eye, but either way, bless you. Oh, it's a sneeze. Oh, she's not happy. She's sneezing, biting. What is it? And if you look at her left ear, it's got quite obvious notches. You see that? There's almost like 3 little notches in her left ear, and that's a perfect way to identify her. You need to pull out the key identification features when you are looking at leopards. But for me, it's just a mama. Animal right, you're asking, is a leopard softer than a lion? Just want to make sure I got that question right before I go into one of my speeches. Oh, faster. We're having some accent troubles here. Can a leopard run faster than a lion? I believe a leopard can run marginally faster than a lion, but they can endure it for a little bit longer. So out here, it's not all about speed, essentially. It's about endurance. How long can you keep that speed up for? So cheetahs, for example, they can run incredibly fast, but they can't endure it for very long. It's short bursts of speed, and then once that energy runs out, they must stop and recuperate. Now, a leopard and a lion, they can probably run about the same speed, but leopards are just a little bit lighter, so they're more nimble on their feet, which gives them the advantage. They're not weighed down by as heavy muscles like lions are. Lions are much, much heavier, which makes them, well, a little bit cumbersome, if you like, when they're sort of running really, really fast. Now, normally they can run at about 50 kilometers per hour, and I would say that's probably the same for a lion, or at least in the average of 40 to 60. But leopards just have the advantage of being lighter, and of course they can jump higher, and they can jump onto trees. And that's where leopards win in that respect. Lions have the muscle power, much stronger than leopards. Oh... Thank you, Kuchava, for being so good and not disappearing down the Mulwanini where we would not be able to follow you. And again, it's all about the energy budget. So if a leopard runs too fast for too long, they'll absolutely exhaust themselves. And animals don't want to do that because it would leave them vulnerable. So normally leopards only really reach top speeds when they're A, launching an attack very close to the prey, or B, escaping a predator, normally another leopard or a lion. I'm really hoping she leads us to her son. Wouldn't that be a fantastic end to a great afternoon?
Beautiful, from a leopard to a leopard. Isn't that amazing? what we got right here is a hukumuri, a big leopard from the west. We at Simbambile property right now as we speak. And I was just driving. I've been called that he's around here. And looks like he killed an impala. We just couldn't stay there because we knew for sure that we got to see him. We have to see him. It's a lot of car. Probably want to come to see the same animal. But here we got this beautiful male. I know he's looking away from us. Is that because he has 3 vehicles? He might have a lot of voices from other side. It's because there's other 2 vehicles on this sighting. But you can tell his size of this male, so big. And then he actually did very good. What I seen there with his kill, he actually hoisted it up in a tree. That's for safety. Seems to be very much wise leopard to do that. A thing that he worked harder to get, but he has to protect it. Then is that now, if it's anything happened, could be that maybe another leopard could do the same, could come and steal the kill from the tree, but otherwise it's safe in there. No vulture. I'm going to reverse a little bit back here because there's a car in front of me. It looks like I'm blocking their way. They want to move out, so just so sorry about that. I will be right back. So sorry about that, guys. We're going to go back. And there, I think we would have a very beautiful view when we return.
So guys, we are busy looking at a baby doing what babies does best, sleeping. The one sibling just moved off there to the left-hand side, out of view, and the other one is just here off, a little closer to us, also to the right, but we can't see either one of those 2. There we go. Someone woke up quickly. It would seem like one of the 3 cubs are calling for the other 2. But I think we can confirm that Mom left them to go and hunt or drink water or something, because it's been, since we were here the last time with these cubs now. She hasn't shown herself at all. So I do think she's moved off to go and be human somewhere else. And so this is now the critical time for these little guys to not be too adventurous and not wander out too far. They need to be as still as possible in the safest spot that their mom chose for them. It just amazes me how you can already see that little tear line coming from his eye down to his mouth. A rather important little black marking that the cheetahs have on their faces, just to help absorb as much of the glare during the day as it can. Because, with them being mostly active during daytime, when the sun is at its highest, that glare effect can be quite bad. So Bob, you are absolutely right. They are super cute. I mean, David has had to put me back on the vehicle twice with me trying to take one home. I'm just joking, by the way. don't climb off the vehicle in sightings like these, but you do just want to take them and hug them. Super, super cute. And, you know, it's actually so exciting to know that we're going to be spending the next, well, however long, the rest of their lives if possible. But the more exciting part, probably the next couple of weeks, seeing how they grow into little cheetahs, you know, because at the moment I don't think you can call them cheetahs yet. They're just balls of fluff. But seeing them mature and grow into the cats that they're going to be one day, it's going to be great. Oh, but lazy. You know, when their mother was here earlier, we didn't get a good view. It was quite thick where they were laying then. But we do know that they were drinking quite a bit of milk. You could just see the tails flicking all the time. So those bellies are going to be full of nice warm milk. And with this afternoon sun just baking them here and there, makes for a very sleepy baby cheetah. Shame. We're hoping that they won't sleep like this for too long. We're actually hoping for them to, you know, get a little curious about us. Luckily, we know we're not a threat to them. So if they can come a little closer, that would be great for us. But we'll as soon as that happens, guys, we'll come back here now.
So we've decided to come and check up on these lions that we found this morning. And surprise, surprise, most of them are still sleeping. This female just lifted her head up as we went live, which is quite nice. You can see she's staring down the riverbed. They've moved slightly closer to the riverbed itself, and they're almost on like a sandbank, a big sandbank. So they've got a great view in both directions here. And she's back down. It is cooling down nicely now, so pretty soon they'll start getting a little bit more active. But those bellies are still very full, so... And they're quite lazy. There you can see what their position's looking like, and their view into the riverbed as well. There's that young male, the young 4-year-old male. And see the mane starting behind the ears there, and then that little mohawk on top of the head. It's quite a nice angle we've got here. We're much lower than them, so it actually looks like we've got the camera on the sand. Some elephants breaking branches behind us as well. So this is the 4 that was separated from the pride. But like I said this morning, they're not too far away, so I'm sure when it gets a bit cooler, they'll all join up again.
And it is Tandy, not Kuchava. I am so very sorry. There has been mass discussion on the radio. Are you sure it's Kuchava? Yes, it's Kuchava. Are you sure? Are you sure? Tandy, Kuchava. And it's Tandy. I'm so sorry. It's been called in as Kuchava for the past hour or so. I really thought I was coming to a Kuchava sighting. But sadly, Well, not sadly, I'm over the moon to see Miss Tandy, but I was hoping to catch up with her daughter, so my apologies. I will need to let Aubrey know that he was following the wrong leopard. They look incredibly similar, but my bad. It is Miss Tandy, and it is believed Tandy has her son, if I can make this turn, she's just behind us, stashed in Djuma side in the Mawati. So she's obviously hungry, looking for something to hunt, and her son is on Djuma, which is good news, but of course, oh, she's gone flat. I wonder if she sees anything. Can you get her from here, Theo? She's just over there behind the grass. Aubrey. I'm just going to let Aubrey know because I think everyone's looking for Tandy in the north. And there's no point in following the wrong leopard. Nope. I thought she spotted something there, but she didn't. And the minute she stands up, Tandy's tummy is really a giveaway. When it comes to Tandy, sometimes that's the first thing you could look for. Because she is 14 years old, she does have a saggy tummy. And off she goes. I wonder if she'll cross into Torchwood. If she crosses Gowrie Main in a northerly direction, guess what, everybody? We cannot follow. Aubrey, do you copy?
So sad that over Tandy heading back north again. But it's a good thing that we still have a Hukumuri here sitting with us. And where my position right now, where I'm sitting, I'm surrounded by 2 other game vehicles, as you can hear. And you might actually hear a lot of a voice talk, and the guys trying to feed information on their guest as well. So, since we get here, it looks like he's only just swing to the other side and he's busy licking himself. He only looked at us, I think it was twice if I remember, and he looked away since then. But he might actually probably stood up and started to move to his kill. Well, his kill is not far away from here. So that I think because of this termite mound that provide a beautiful shade. If you can see that there, so the sun penetrating through from the other side, but then it's a beautiful shade where he's just lying right now. And you look at his tummy, it's actually expand a little bit because he just ate. You can see how beautiful these patterns are. Such a beautiful cat of a Hukumuri male. JP want to know at what age leopard learn how to climb trees. So what is happening, leopard, when they're young, very young, talking about when they're about a few weeks old, they're well hidden in a den. So the mother put them in a den, and when when the first time she take them to introduce them to the meat, this is when they're about nearly 4.5, 5 months old, and that's where you get to see them a lot of time with their mother. At that time, they already know, before they get out of the den, how to climb trees. Remember, for them to climb trees is because they're well built with strong muscle on their shoulder, also their back legs, but also they have claws which manage attractive claws which are able to help these cats to climb right up in a tree immediately. So for sure, we've seen a lot of cubs, leopard cubs, survive from the lions. Lions, all pride, approached this leopard female on a kill, and they managed to survive just a minute that they managed to climb trees, save their life. They don't have to actually climb a big tree or for safety if they don't have any plans, any trees that they feel that lions can't get up into, and they have to do that. So yeah, they climb from the minute they learn to get out of the den. They're playful, climb trees around the den. If it's safer, mother should let them move around too much out of the den. This is how they're naughty of themselves. It's better when there are two of them, because then they help each other playing and they get along and trying to learn some things. But this is where the learning skill come from when they in that age. Once they've been reintroduced to the meat, every now and then they would expect the meat. Of course, milk, it's a first class, but then they already eat meat from that age of 4 months, 5 months old. So they will blend in cat. We're talking about many of this cat. So Emily, you want to know who is my favorite leopard? Especially in this area where I'm at, Djuma. So it's quite hard to tell, my favorite one died, which was Mvula, and comes the second one was Karula also. She's not around. So I'll put Thando on the line as my favorite right now. So I'm just going to go from this family, I'm going now downwards. So started from the male, which comes famous in the area where we were working around in Mvula was an legend. But also Karula, she was a princess. So gorgeous, experienced female that I know of. She brings a lot of a generation into this area. A lot of her siblings now, they still breed and still seeing these cats because of her. So yeah, she was also. But for now, because Thandi, she's still around and she's still trying her best, she tends to be very much my favorite. So now all we see is a tail. They feel comfortable now because there's nothing much disturbing them. So for example, if there is a danger around here, he wouldn't be relaxed like this. So we know the danger. We're all around him, for sure, but he doesn't really look at us since we get here. And actually, since we started this, it was not such a rise looking at him or at us. So remember, everyone, to ask questions, very important, drop question on #WildEarth on YouTube, Twitter as well. So we go through these questions and we're here for that. And this is your wildlife, Wild Earth Life, bringing this to you live right now. We live right now, which is so amazing from that far away where you are, looking at this cat. You can see the pattern there. So leopard have a rosette spot. We always, a rosette spot, that's a leopard. But the solid spot, and that's a cheetah. But you see, leopard, they're all full body animal, especially males, which weigh anything from 70, been seen way up to 80 kg, but they're so powerful animal that even the females, she weighs 60, 65, where you found most of the prey species they go for, which is impala, also weigh the similar age as the female leopard. You found that impala has been hosted up in a tree, which actually equals their weight. And this is amazing things. And to do that, when you see them putting that impala up in the trees, it's looked like machinery. It doesn't take too long. and they're right up in there. So it looks like this particular cat we're looking at it right now is very good on saving his kill, knowing that anything could have happened. Looks like he doesn't worry too much about vulture been spotting this meat up in a tree, so all you worry is that you need to save it no matter what. We'll stick around here for a while, see what is happening.
I have left the safety of the water because the wildebeest decided to leave. I hope they don't cross so that we can see them early in the morning. And I have found a pair of Egyptian geese that we saw earlier on last month, and it had about 9 young ones and 9 goslings. Now it's got about 8, so it has lost only 1, and that's very, very, very good. They're only a month, you can't believe it. I hope they get into the water so you can see them, and they're quite big. I don't think they can fly yet because they are not fully fledged. That is one of the adults, and he's been very, very protective. I think he's the male. This is the Egyptian geese. Remember, it is found in most Egyptian drawings, and I think that's where it gets its name. Yeah, feeds on small aquatic, little crustaceans and also plants. Yeah, it looks like it's a drink time. That's a youngster, very cute. They're all hidden behind that little green tuft there. I'm hoping they can get into the water so you can see them. They look very, very beautiful. They're very, very cute, I would say. I'm hoping they do that. I hope you're enjoying this and don't get very disappointed with the wildebeest. They are wildebeest and they will always be wildebeest. I hope we can share a crossing tomorrow. Come on, geese. Are you going to put your little ones in the water? Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Maybe they have decided to stay there. Cleo, thank you for your question. You ask what type of fish are in the pond. Over here, I would say there would be only, mudfish. They are bottom feeders, and this is the kind of place where you would find them. Mudfish, they're actually lungfish. They can survive a little bit in water, and they have been found, walking. You can't believe it, but walking, getting out of one pond and walking to another pond, another pond. They don't have legs, but they wiggle just like a snake does. But it's walking, we call it, walking to another pond. So they can survive without, even outside water for a little bit longer. So they're the ones that you could find here. Catfish or mudfish. Yeah, they're getting into the water. Look at them. They're only about a month, and they're so big. Well, survival is very, wanted here, because if they stay in the nest for very long, they could get eaten and survival decreases. Look at that. That's what I was looking forward to. That's really beautiful. I hope you're enjoying that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, there were 8. So they've lost 2. It looks like they're swimming to one of their favorite places where they're gonna rest. It looks like a very successful pair, this one. I hope to be seeing them in the next coming months and see what they're up to. You can tell that their wings haven't fully grown, but their body has dramatically, increased in size and weight. That's growing very, very fast. Well, survival is necessary, and that's why they do that. Yeah, going around very quickly so that it doesn't lose the sight of the little ones. Yeah, there they come. Now enjoying a bit of grass, which is part of their diet. Remember, these are Egyptian geese. Yeah, they'll eat plenty of grass and also little creepy crawlies that they can find. Fish, frogs, they'll eat also. When they mate and, they usually find a very flat area in a tree or besides water where they lay their eggs, there could be even up to 20. Yeah, look at that. What a show. Well, I hope you're enjoying this, guys, because it's one of a kind. You don't always see young ones of Egyptian geese like this. So I'll leave you to enjoy it for a little bit.
All right. So, seeing as we were watching those elephants digging in the riverbed earlier, we thought that we would quickly show you how deep some of these holes actually are. And I was trying to look, so it looks like it's about 1 meter. It goes down quite far. We were actually saying, like, I should try and hide in one of these holes, and when we're live, I'll just pop my head out. But yeah, it's quite deep, and there's actually another one a little bit further back. We can't see it clearly from this angle now, but that's even deeper than that one, and that's why those calves just disappear into these holes. It's cooling down quite nicely now, so I think we'll continue along the riverbed, and we're going to see, maybe we get lucky with another cat, hopefully a spotted cat.
Beautiful leopard still sleeping. It looks like now we're the only one here, so just gonna wait a little while, see what he does for us. But he hasn't thinking of moving to that kill yet. So we're not sure when last he eaten. But that impala, when we look at it, looks like it's been eaten at right at the back. That's the start off. And maybe that's where he get his full belly from. So there the meat is safe. But you remember, they are solitary animal. It happens, the meat is right up there, then he will come thirsty, wanted to drink water, and then now he has to walk distances from here to get water, and nobody will look after that meat. So it happens, he returned back, half of it has been eaten by maybe his Batalia eagle, or could be the same species of animal that is around, probably stole that or drag it away. He will eventually find it, but if it's the same size of male, then it's going to be a lot of fight. If it's a female, she'll probably run away and stand far distance. As the male, they always push female on a kill. If they're scavengers as well. They can scavenge from one another, and lions can scavenge from them. And these can scavenge from cheetah. And then we saw the other day the dogs, what they were doing with the Tlalamba. So the scavenging is all over. And that's why they got to make sure when they have this kill, they look after it. He's so beautiful. I wanted to see his eye. But then he's got a blind eye. But he only look at us once. So for them, hunt by night and day. This is the leopards out here. So when it's cooler during the day, there is a prey species around. And of course, they will be very much interested in hunting. And for that, depend in what area is it. Because now they need to depend on tall grasses, sneaking through that, camouflage, and ambush. To take time, this animal, they have a lot of time to target, and they wait for longer for something to happen. A lot of time impala get killed just because finally they play around, forget that could be not safe. HB, how heavy we think it is. So he's actually fully grown, so I would put him around or maybe 65 or 65, 70 kg, I would say, is a big fellow. This is a big male. I think somewhere around there. So the reason I'm saying fully grown female only weighs 60 kilogram, 55, 60 kilogram, that's average weight for female, and a male weighs more than that. So I'll put him around there. Could be more, could be less, I think, but somewhere around there. It's been a record of big female that was weighing around 95 kg or something like that. That was a big one. So I only saw that on a research when I'm trying to see how things going in the reserve. So when it's dark, that's where now a lot of scavengers, hyenas, such as things like this will, be a lot of movement around here. So if that kill is not actually, the stomach it's separate, because this is very important for them. When they eat, they gotta make sure the content. It's, as I speak, is a hyena coming from the way distance, but we're only gonna show you when he comes nearby here. But he's probably maybe going to come near the car because they know every time when there's a car and they know maybe something watching. So where now we're taking you into, as we speak, there's a hyena. Looks like a big female hyena there. It's heading straight to that kill position, but he hasn't noticed, or he just rolled over. And the hyena's running into that direction of the kill. He hasn't noticed that there's scavengers around that kill. So for example, if that killer was on the ground, it was more likely to be taken away without him knowing that the kill has been taken. Hyena cannot climb trees, really, for sure. But if it's in a bone, hyena may pick up their crunch, which is not far away here. He's probably going to hear it. Just going to take maybe, 2 minutes, listen.
All right, guys, we've just actually on our way back to camp found this other cheetah. I'm not even sure whether it's male or female, I'm going to be honest with you, because this is one of the wild ones. As soon as it saw us coming over the dune, it immediately took off. Well, it didn't take off, but went and got a little spot to hide in. And when we switched off the vehicle, as soon as we saw where the tracks went off the road, when we switched off the vehicle, we actually then, he relaxed and is moving now. He or she, as I said, I don't know whether it's male or female. But it just shows you the different personalities of each individual, Some of them are completely relaxed, like that one with the cubs at the moment. Others, not so much. And, the more we see them, the wild ones like this one, the more we see that individual and he sees that, or she sees that we are not a threat to them, the more and more relaxed they will become. Well, hopefully. Some of their personalities are just too strong and you will never get them to accept the vehicle close to them. Others, with time, if you work, with them and show them that they don't need to fear you, then you might actually get where they relax and they come a little, allow the vehicle a little closer to them. So it's all, a work in progress, constantly having to be out there. Even the tame, and well, no, tame is a bad word. The animals that are used to the vehicles, the habituated animals, also need to constantly see vehicles around them. Otherwise, if you leave them alone for, let's say, 3 or 4 months and only come to them with a vehicle then they are definitely going to be a little bit more wild than what you left them with. Some of them might even completely reject the vehicle then. So very important to have that, almost like a relationship with one another, where it has to come from both sides. Always a work in progress to be able to keep the relationship strong. But yeah, what a good surprise.
Hello everyone and welcome back to And Beyond Phinda. We've tried our best to find the lions after we left those elephants, and it seems that if they did leave where they were left this morning, the wind has blown all the tracks away. We even went down on a little bit of a walk to see if we could find any track or sign of them. We had those kudus alarm calling. We've investigated in this area. We haven't had much luck. So what we thought we'd do is there's a beautiful mountain up ahead of us. We're going to try and drive through this little valley and see if we can find any nocturnal animals maybe starting to get active for this evening.
Back, this hyena now gets so closer. Looks like maybe this is where the kill happened. I'm not sure, but it seems that hyena is picking up some of probably the content that was left behind. I think so. It's trying to eat on a little thing there. It's probably remain of bones but the kill is not here, so it's far down. So maybe this is where it was well hidden because of probably safety during the day for a shade. So glad that they actually managed to, move this kill into trees, right up in a tree for safety. This hyena, I'm sure, you can see, look at the size of a female. These things are so strong, can win leopard so easy. So mainly they're not scared of leopard. Even when you're looking at this big leopard like this, they always win their kill quite easy. Just trying to go into that thicket there. So hyena, they're very good on tracking, so they can track leopard's movement and then sniff on the ground. If they ever pick up the scent where leopard have moved through, let's say maybe an hour ago, they still smell that, and they keep on tracking until they find where that leopard ended up. So this is what's probably happening here. When I look at that kill, looks like to me it's probably during the day, a kill. Yeah, it is. It is indeed. I mean, I'm not sure where this kind of hyena come from. Usually this is actually first time to see a hyena in color like this. But, mainly when I grew up, they change color. Looks like this is kind of a mix with kind of like pinkish. Because maybe that's where they mound, they sleep on. And when they get up, it happens to elephants. If you find elephants in places where the red soil is, also turn red. But it could be that maybe this is actually the gene pool color from a mother or a father around, wherever this hyena came from, in whichever clan it is, probably in the far west or from here. But of course, indeed, it's looking different hyena from the hyena that we keep seeing every time. But that's a big female, I can tell you, everyone. It's a big female hyena. And it's what makes them hyena. And females on hyena are far too bigger than a male. So you're looking at the teeth hanging in there. This is how I know for sure this is the big female. Remember, just looking at the hyena, if you don't look them carefully, you always go wrong. Think, oh, you're looking at the female or male until you check carefully. But otherwise, you see they're thought to be hermaphrodites, which when you look at the male, then looks like a female. Female looks like a male. And the reason is that they have this fake genitalia. Sometimes release their penis. Both female and the male can do that. So to able to make sure what you're looking at, male or female, is that you got to look carefully. Usually male testicle are clearly to be seen without any hair in them. Look at this hyena, it's getting close to this cat. And he's busy warning her. Off you go, hyena, but still not so far away.
So alrighty guys, we just had an interesting, almost a revelation happen to us. This is the same cheetah that we just saw, and we understand now why she was hiding as soon as we approached. This is the mom of those cubs that we were with just now, about a half an hour ago. And so obviously she's heading back towards the den site, and she doesn't want anything to follow her. So because of that, as soon as she saw that she got spotted, she went and found a hiding place. But then when we investigated a little closer, that's when she moved off, and we saw her moving along that thicket. But then, now that she's realized we've spotted her, she's relaxed completely and actually came a little closer to the vehicle. But just look at the interesting behavior. She was on a mission when we found her at first. Like walking, nothing was going to stop her to get to where the den is. And now, as soon as we spotted her the second time, when we drove a little closer on the road and she came closer to the vehicle, she went and she lied down. And now she's acting as if she's got nothing to do but lie on the ground. And that's just because she doesn't want to lead us to the, with us now having spotted her, she might think, okay, but if they follow me, we're going to arrive at the den site and my cubs might be in trouble. So we are definitely not going to spend too long with her, just because she needs to get back to the cubs. That's number one priority for us also at the moment. But it's just interesting how, she was on a mission, and as soon as she got spotted, all of a sudden, poof, her behavior changed to that of a more secretive nature, trying to hide that she's got cubs and that she's got a den somewhere. Yeah, I think what we're going to do, we're going to keep her in the eye, we won't move again. We're going to keep her in the eye and see where she goes. So, with that being the case, it would be nice to have her join her cubs again, guys.
it's been a very exciting afternoon, everyone. It's actually gone all horribly wrong. Thinking I was going to Kochava ended up being Tandy, and then we got stuck. So since the last time you saw us, we got rescued by another vehicle. Yes, I don't know what more to say. We were trying very hard to keep up with Tandy and we got stuck on a rock, so there you have it. I haven't made much progress since Tandy disappeared off into Torchwood because I was stuck in a riverbed. So it's been an interesting experience, got my hands dirty for the day, and yes, at least we saw a leopard. It wasn't the leopard that I thought, but hey, we managed to keep up with Tandy, and I'm still convinced her little cub is in Djuma, so it leaves good prospects for tomorrow.
Back to a beautiful cat sitting, looking at the direction of the hyena. Oh, he's gonna move. He's gonna move now, slowly. Not sure if he's gonna reach that position of his kill, because this is where the hyena gone in. If he does that, then it's just gonna take time, follow him a little bit, see how far he goes. But you see how silent kind of movement a cat. Just gonna move a little bit. Sorry about this, but we need to keep up with him. So, really cool. How long can leopards sleep for? So anything from 20 or 18 hours sometimes. So they don't sleep like lions do, which lions can sleep off 24 hours. But sometimes they can do that when they want to, when they don't want to move too much. Of course they can, even 20 hours sometimes. But 18 hours, that's roughly for a leopard. They have a lot of energy, this cat, than the lions do. Where lions will lie in a shed until late night. When you come track for them, you find them not far from where they were the last time, so they didn't move too much. And then look at this tail, it's an amazing to see that. It's pretty much white on the tip end because they communicate using this tail, especially the female when they're with the cubs. And then also the cubs will follow the white, play with the white. It's sometimes a visual communication in terms of the warning signal when they don't like each other or the cat is upset, the tails work. And this is what these cats do. So all the animals they have follow me mechanism, all of them. But for cats, if you look behind their ears, it's pitch black. But this could be one of the follow me mechanisms when they move through the darknesses for camouflage. He just went flat. So it's beautiful. So isn't that beautiful to see cats like this lying down and believe this is really cool for everyone and to be able to witness kind of things like this, a big cat lying down there and right close to it. Doesn't really do much. So for everyone those been joining us here at Wild Earth, just want to thank you so much for your time watching Safari or Wild Earth Live. And I hope it's been a great day. And hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow morning. Thank you. Goodbye.